Death is beautiful, and there's really nothing to be afraid of. Well, that's the feeling I got anyway, as I sat in contemplative silence for a good 40 minutes after I first witnessed Peter Richardson's 2011 Right to End My Own Life documentary, How to Die in Oregon, a grand jury prize winner at Sundance that year. Listen, all the Batmans and James Bonds and Expendables in the cinematic world combined cannot top the bravery of the stunningly gorgeous and charming Cody Curtis. I can't tell you how much I appreciate ballsy reality filmmakers who tackle the subject of death, dying, and dying people. Yeah, I'm obsessed with death, but more importantly, I am all consumed with learning how the hell to live while I'm here stuck on this godforsaken poop hole of a planet that we've ruined. More of us need to see real people dying on camera. Too many of us are way too afraid to, including my own wife. She's terrified and could not bring herself to share this one with me. And no, I'm not talking about Faces of Death or Traces of Death or the beheading videos you might find at bestgore.com. I'm over that. I'm talking about sensitive, sincere filmed portraits of those willing to display their ultimate frailties before a non-judgmental lens. It can be so sobering. It can also be a great reminder of how fragile we are, and in some cases, how much we need to take better care of ourselves, Tom Detloff! I can cite two other extraordinary docs that achieve this. Sick, The Life and Death of Bob Flanagan, Supermasochist, and Silver Lake Life, The View from Here. In Sick, Flanagan insists that the end of his lifelong battle with cystic fibrosis be filmed. You watch him die right after you've spent 90 mind-bending minutes with the dude. And in Silver Lake, you see filmmaker Tom Jocelyn succumb to the AIDS virus. And all his partner Mark Massey can do is love and take care and respect the wishes of Jocelyn to transform from an upright, vibrant man to an incontinent skeleton right before our eyes. This form of self-expression, too, is derived from a bravery I cannot fathom, as much as an attention whore I can be. But How to Die in Oregon grants us even a whole new perspective and benefit as well. Namely, taking on the much ballyhooed issue of legal physician-assisted suicide and successfully invalidating anyone who's stupid and or selfish enough to stand in the way of this notion. Who the hell are you, politico, religious leader, or otherwise, to dictate when and how I take my dying ass out of this sick game? I'm dying. I'm in agony. My quality of life is fucked. So guess what I can do? I can hook up with a saintly service that will send a volunteer to my home who will help me acquire, along with the help of my doctor, the fixings for a second-all cocktail. Not only that, they'll teach me how to concoct this magic milk so I can swallow it when I'm ready, slip into a coma, and inevitably expire in a beautiful way, surrounded by my friends and family. I almost think it's unfair that you have to be terminally ill to receive such a glorious right. Well, guess what? That's Oregon. But perhaps me declaring that is almost not fair to the late Cody Curtis, this extraordinary woman who was diagnosed with inoperable liver cancer. She deserved this opportunity to take her own life in her own way, and she, for me, is the true face and hero of the Death with Dignity Act. This woman's journey is at times harrowing. Good news is dangled in her face like a mint Milano. But in the end, she knows she is ready. And through her strength and her tears and her humor, her jugs of bile and her radiant smile, you see how death can actually be life-affirming. Look no further than the impact she leaves on this film. She makes me want to live. She sacrificed herself for me. How to Die in Oregon is gentle and tasteful and very emotional. It is, even at times, artful, especially outside of the Curtis home the night Cody embraces her final fate. Peter Richardson does an impeccable job conveying an argument, enlightening the unlightened, and inspiring the rest of the world to follow suit on this thing. This is the way for all of us. Should we need it, this is the way. Kevorkian had the right idea. He pushed and pulled in some wrong directions and was jailed for a time. This is the way. This is right. Death is beautiful. It is beautiful, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Especially if you live in Oregon. I'd move there.
It was easy, folks. It was easy.
Wow. Hey, you know, Max, it's almost like Cody Curtis, the fact that she's able to make this decision, it gives her that extra few months to live. Like it seemed that it strengthened her. And she wound up living like 6 months, I think, beyond what she was expected to live.
Oh yeah, totally. It made she suddenly felt like a superstar.
I mean, you know, it's all hearsay. I mean, who am I to say, or who do you say? You know, who are any of us to say? But watching this film, it seemed to me that there was something that strengthened her just by having this option. You know, knowing that this option was there for her, and she wound up getting stronger for a little while. And she wound up spending the holidays with her family and you know, living, you know, almost a normal life for a few months before she did remove herself from the planet. Hey, listen, documentaries right now, they're coming at us like left and right. I mean, since this, you know, whole HD camera that's accessible to almost everyone, these films are coming at us left and right. I mean, even guys like Werner Herzog, you know, are tapping into the documentary, you know, over the past few years, and there's a lot of good stuff out there. Max, this is really one of them. I mean, the documentary should both be informative and inspiring, and this is both, and it is a beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt story, man. And I normally wouldn't go out of my way to watch something as really almost depressing as this, but it really moved me, very much so.
Well, good, Tom, because I know you're kind of freaked out by the whole death thing.
I am terrified of death. I mean, I really am.
Did this film help with that?
No, I don't think anything will.
Why are you so afraid of death?
I can only say it's because I really enjoy being alive, and just not being around anymore. It just scares the living shit out of me, you know? I mean, how could, well, let me ask you this. How could you be so accepting toward it?
Well, I was born into death, man. I had no choice. We've talked about this on the show before. Like, right. I was born from a woman who suffered a devastating loss. You know, my mom's the love of her life died a month before I was born, right?
Right.
It was all like in the womb, I think. It's so funny. Like, my mom doesn't think so. And she always feels like, oh, you're just making me feel bad. And like, Mommy, no, I'm not. It's chemical. It's scientific. It's this, it's that. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know, you make me feel like I'm a bad mother. Mom, what could you do? You took this catastrophic blow while I was inside you. How do you think it's not going to affect me? You know what I mean? There are pictures and home movies of my mother at my dad's funeral, all in black, with the veil over the face and a big pregnant belly. I was born into this shit, man.
Wow. Yeah, you were stewing in some serious, strange cocktail there, man.
Yeah. A death cocktail. Man.
That paints quite a portrait, Max. Yeah, that's amazing. I have a question. What was the comment in the middle of your introduction? You said something pointed at Tom about taking care of yourself or something. I've been off the show for a while. Is this a running?
Well,
is Tom not taking care of himself?
Yeah, what does that mean?
He eats horribly. He smokes. He's got the gout.
What do you know about what I eat, though, Max? I mean, you're not supervising my meals here.
Well, you're the one that said you're overweight.
Well, I am, but you know, are you not overweight?
I am about 20 pounds at this point overweight. I've lost 10. I was 30 pounds overweight. I've lost 10.
30 pounds is a lot.
It is a fucking lot. I don't walk around with a big gut. That's not who I am. Plus, you know, I'm putting myself on camera. I can't look like a loaf.
What? John Goodman does it. George.
That's a flattering comparison, I have to say.
The next John Goodman. Hey.
Yeah. How tall is John Goodman? He's pretty tall too.
Yeah, I would probably 6 foot something.
I'm
a tall guy.
It's bad.
Yeah, it is.
And you've been doing it for so long, and then you stopped, and then But you know what, Tom? I got to tell you, I am not one of these people that cares what other people do. I mean, I care about you and your health, but I would never like care if you said to me, Max, leave me the fuck alone. I will never stop smoking. And then you blew smoke in my face. I would be
like Morton Downey
cool.
Jr.
Yeah. I'd be like, that's cool, man. I can live with that.
But I'm not. I'm like kind of like I'm on the fence, man. You know, it's like, I want to do it and then I don't want to do it. I'm like very indecisive about it, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, as to my friends to have to listen to this crap from me. I want to quit smoking.
Yeah, but there's nothing funnier than Joe comparing your gout to Henry VIII. Joe says, how bad does it have to be where you get Henry VIII disease? Tom's walking around with it. Joe says that Tom's walking around with a big slab of meat on a bone, a brontosaurus.
Is that what that prick said?
Yeah, you're like wearing that big puffy jacket and you've got the tights on and you're eating a big fucking turkey leg.
Are you talking about Joe Christiana, the guy that used to be on the Cutting Room Movie podcast?
Oh, hey guys, yeah. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Formerly of?
Yeah, Dave.
Wait, he flip out.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, what's happening?
Dave Pace, ladies and gentlemen.
What did you? I as I said, I haven't seen the movie. Dave, what did you think of it? Was Max over romanticizing it?
Not at all. I don't think in the least. This is fantastic film. I mean, it's hard to watch. There's parts of it that I mean, I agree completely with the whole right to die movement. I go further. I think you don't have to be terminally ill.
Yeah.
I think if you can make a case for checking out, you should be able to. And you should. Is
it legal up yonder where you're from?
No, it isn't. And there's been like a few weird cases, but no, it's still not legal. But our doctors up here do sort of weird cheat kind of things to get around it. When my stepfather passed away, it was basically they came to my mother and they said, well, listen, his big symptom right now is pain, and if we treat the pain adequately, one of the possible side effects is death. Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
And she went, yeah. and they went to him and he said, and they gave him a big old shot of morphine, and sure enough, that was the side effect, right? And
that's been the get around for decades. Is the morphine,
yeah.
Where the doctors are just like, hey, look, you know it, we know it, everyone knows it. It's we're not officially doing it, but if you want, this is the way to make it happen.
And I mean, my mother was in nursing her whole life, right? So she's no stranger to this sort of stuff, and it was well past time for him. Like within 2 months, he went from renovating the house and playing soccer every weekend and everything like that to bedridden and can't see and can't. You know what I mean? Like it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying.
I had a grandmother that had severe Alzheimer's at the end of her life. I mean, it was like almost not even worth going to see her. Like particularly the last. I didn't really like the last 2 years because it was just unbelievable. I mean, she had.
You're only popping up intermittently on her radar as a recognizable thing.
Not at all. Toward the end, Billy, there was nothing there. I mean, it was just. I mean, it was outrageous. She had no fucking clue where she was, who she was, what she was doing, where she was at, I mean, it was really sad. And that's a case where, like, they can't even – in that case, the person can't even decide for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's the one that scares the bejesus out of me. I do not want to go out on Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
If I'm still in the early stages and I'm capable, I'm checking out because that is not the way I want to go.
How can you check out? I mean, we live in a society that would pretty much disallow you from doing something like that.
Do it, Tony Scott.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, Tony Scott it.
But and that's the thing too. I mean, anybody could really do it, right? I mean,
it's funny. It's like it's illegal. All right, arrest me.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is there's very real sort of insurance implications and things like that.
That's true.
That's really true. Like that's like almost the more tragic part, right? Is sure
families can suffer financially because of that's very true. So there's
you go jump the fucking bridge and sure your problem is solved, but
there's a world of bureaucracy just to check out.
This is the key thing to me. Like aside from, I mean, obviously philosophically, no one has any right to tell you anything about yourself, but legally there's this whole bullshit idea of Western civilization being the right to property. Well, aren't you your own first property? I mean, who has a right to tell you, essentially, if they're telling you that suicide is illegal, then they're telling you that you don't have a right to your own property, your own body, and that's obviously hypocritical. So
these are the same,
it's not an issue.
These are the exact same people who are gonna tell you what chemicals are good to put in your body and what chemicals are bad to put in your body. And
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
like you can die a slow death of alcoholism.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfectly. This is like the prophet of the medical system. I mean, I just walk out. I walk out my front door, and everywhere in America, you'll see, people killing themselves with, no offense, Tom, cigarettes and food. And, there's a whole battery of things to make a profit off of your slow demise from those substances. But God forbid you should smoke a joint, right?
I don't mind the cigarettes, putting my name in that arena, but the food.
Well, because you were just being made fun of for eating and smoking.
And drink. He drinks all the time, don't you, Tom?
I don't drink all the time. I do not. I once a week I enjoy some cocktails like any other person.
You disgust me, Tom.
Oh, please.
Listen, that life insurance thing just really took the wind out of my sails because I forgot about that. Because I can't kill myself, or my wife doesn't get $250,000.
Doesn't get anything.
That's why they do, right, like Double Indemnity, the old Fred McMurray movie. That's why you got to make it look like an accident.
Oh, my God.
That's why I'm driving my car into a fucking abutment or something like that in an underpass on the way home from work.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, but you're not really going to do that, right, Dave? Don't you have kids?
Yeah, man.
Okay, you're not really going to do that. But
wait till
we're in that position, I had a tough decision to make. And I'm not going to leave my family, having to fucking bury me and figure out what to do with my rotting ass. It's not
Max. After watching this, though, do you think that this country, this society that we live in, do you think we're slowly warming up to this idea by states of Oregon and Washington, who are starting to see the patient side of this thing?
Well, yeah, if you're into molasses, I mean, come on, this has been going on for a very long time. And how about the Hemlock Society guy, Derek Humphrey, who wrote the book Final Exit? There's a great little sequence with him in this film, and he's a whole documentary unto himself.
Right.
He was trying to get this going in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's taken now one state and maybe another to go for it. Right. It'll never in the South. What are you kidding?
Yeah. I've actually watched videos that he produced years before I saw this documentary and really knew who he was. I watched videos that he made of like how to make your exit bag.
Yeah, they show that in this film.
Yeah. It was really weird to see that.
What's an exit bag?
Yeah, please explain.
So the idea is that if you're wanting to exit, there are some efficient ways to do so. And part of it involves getting a plastic bag. So you're not just overdosing on pills, but you're actually getting a plastic bag and a zip tie. And you put that over your head after you take the pills and pull the zip tie tight. And this is like I'm making sure.
Right. So even if you just pass out, you're not going to wake up.
You're not going to fucking wake up. And it's pretty it's pretty intense stuff to watch. Like I was watching them, I'm going, man, this is serious. But people are horrified by that, like they go, man, how can somebody make a video like that and be morally responsible for what somebody might do with a video like that? And I think, man, it comes from a place of compassion.
Right. Well, you know what? That's what Peter Richardson, he does a great job right off the bat in this film. The opening scene is we witness someone who's going to take this medication and leave the planet Earth. And Richardson really shows us that this isn't the Grim Reaper coming for a visit, that this is in an odd way, a friendly service, a service, that is trying to help. There's nothing to be afraid of here. And Richardson immediately in this film gives you that impression. At least he tries to make that statement. Because the only people I would think pretty much that are opposed to this type of policy is religious lunatics, right?
Well, and I think that's like, if
I would say they're broader.
You think it's broader, Billy?
Sorry, Dave, go on.
If I have a complaint about this film, and I really don't, because it was really an eye-opening piece of business. But if I had to complain about it, and maybe it was never the intent to sort of show the other side, but I never got a really clear understanding of what the counter-argument was. Right? They don't spend a lot of time sort of saying, well,
who's objecting?
Right.
Who is objecting and why? And maybe that wasn't the objective of the film. I don't know. But I felt, even though, again, you're preaching to the choir with this film, I felt a bit underserviced because I did want to understand a little bit about who's objecting and why, because to me, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why you would object. So, does somebody out there have something to say that makes some kind of sense beyond, a religious argument or beyond some weird, really strict reading of the Hippocratic Oath or something like that? I was really looking for that.
If I had to guess, I would say in my more paranoid interpretation of the whole issue, I would say always follow the money. And it's my humble opinion that there's
right.
two modes of making money off of human trafficking these days, and it's jail and the medical industry.
You're right.
And there's a lot of people who stand to make money keeping a body alive.
They're lucky.
They're longer than is necessary.
And the people, luckily enough for the people who are making the money on this shit, have the religious people to do the fighting for them.
It's always, what? Everyone always points out the conservative bozos and the uneducated, religious nuts and all that stuff. But you know what? That's just a resource pool for people who have money and want more money.
I can totally get into that.
Do you know how much pharmaceutical companies make every year? It is unbelievable. Billions upon billions, hundreds of billions of dollars just dumped into us like we're fucking cattle to be experimented on. It's ridiculous.
And it is. Yeah. Go on, Max.
I was going to say, can you believe this flu shot bullshit? Because here I've just gone through this horrendous respiratory infection and ear infection. I had to go get the meds, and I'm standing there at the CVS. There are signs everywhere. Sorry, we've run out of flu shots. I can only imagine the droves that came out of all the fear and all the warnings and the red flags to get their flu shots, and how much profit. Yeah. No one needs a fucking flu shot.
No, who knows what they're pumping into you either.
If you subscribe to the fear mongering, there are 1,000 ways to be fleeced. They'll tell you need to buy supplies for World War III, the flu, earthquakes, everything. Yeah. That's life.
Remember the big gas mask boom? I
still want one.
Yeah, I bet. But no, Billy, you're absolutely right, man. The pharmaceutical companies. Hey, listen, and and again, recently with this shooting in Connecticut, it seems like all these guys are pumped up on meds from these companies, which is kind of fucking weird to me.
I lived in this place called Livingston, New Jersey, which was a very upscale neighborhood, and it was very upper middle class, bedroom community type of thing. It was the strangest thing to walk around there in the town center in the middle of the day. Everyone was like friggin' zombies, and I could not figure out why. And then I realized all the housewives are on antidepressants. All the old people are on whatever the hell old people take. The kids were all smoking dope, and the young kids were on whatever, Ritalin and all that stuff. And I was like, suburbia is friggin' Zombieland. Like they're spending so much money on drugs, legal and otherwise, they've turned themselves into friggin' zombies.
Isn't there a tennis player in Gummo that's on Ritalin?
Right.
My backhand's not doing so great.
Just throwing that out there for later on, man. Oh,
Awesome.
But Billy, though, I'm with you on that, and it's funny because everyone is buying into it. And Max, you're right. These people, man, they're going to get these flu shots for what?
Oh my God! I've got 2 or 3 chicks in my life. I got my flu shot and my arm hurts. My arm blew up. Well, what med are you going to need for that to get the swelling to go down?
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd like to go back to Dave's point, which I really thought was great about the counter argument, and there were opportunities there too, Dave. Like you've got this issue on the ballot or whatever, and then they're making the cold calls to the homes.
Yeah.
And you're only hearing the woman calling saying, "Oh, you're not into it? Oh, well, why?" You don't really hear the other person on the other line saying why they don't like the Death with Dignity Act.
Right.
I was kind of bummed about that. I wanted to hear that. And, like, who really interested me, and it stuck out to me really quite a bit. You know the guy sort of midway through the film?
Randy Stroop?
Randy, the total redneck dude?
That dude was gnarly.
Who, Randy?
Yeah. And he's like this total, like, fucking redneck. Like the first shots of him are, like, him working on his van with, like, a rebel flag on the back.
Right.
And you get the real, like, he gets this fucked up letter from his insurance company saying, we're not going to pay for your chemo, but we'll pay for your death drugs, which is a fucked up letter. Like I have to kind of side with Crazy Randy in that's a fucked up letter to get, right? Like,
We're not going to help you. We just hope you die.
yeah,
soon.
that's a weird, like that's kind of a weird unintended consequence of the law. But at the same time, you get the sense that regardless, Randy seems very against this whole idea. And the rest of the people in the movie who are portrayed as Thor are like driving fucking Volvos, and like they're educated, upper class white people, and then you've got fucking Randy with a handlebar mustache and a fucking mullet, who's like, I don't know about all this death stuff. And it was like, I don't know, man. I would have rather seen like better opposition. I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you that I have a personal, as much as I think that it's everyone's right, I have a kind of a personal opposition to it. I mean, the reason that I wouldn't want to go out on something like Alzheimer's is because you lose the tool that I value most, which is consciousness. But to confront death fully conscious is something that I would hope I'd have the courage to do in any case. I think there's something buried in the human animal that wants to stay conscious and venerates that and considers, like, I just think that it's a very noble thing to be able to do that in some regard. And I think people react instinctively against checking out, without confronting that. But I think the argument also gets lost in religious and political and sort of knee-jerk reactions without actually thinking where that instinct comes from.
Well, are you talking about like
us?
I think I get it, but are you talking about like a conscious suffering? Because I'm only thinking
if you had cancer and it wasn't brain cancer, but it was it was eating you. I mean, in a weird way, I would almost hope that I would be able to live through that until I naturally died, because there's something in me that wants to experience that consciously.
Right.
But
with Cody Curtis, the woman in this film, and I know you haven't seen it yet, she's having big, giant jugs of bile and disease taken out of her. Right. The woman suffers through the whole movie. All she wants to do is take hikes. All she wants to do is plant in her garden. And now she's facing the end for a very extended period of time. They get to the point, I think, these people, where they're just like, get me fucking out of here, which is why they want to take the second all cocktail and just fade away.
Well, and I think that should be your right. Let me rephrase that. That is your right. No one can give you rights. They can only take them away. So that should be your right to do that if you want to. And
let me ask you this. What do you think happens? Do you think something happens right before we go?
What do you mean, like a spiritual thing?
Maybe.
How could anyone say?
But maybe he has what he thinks
But
he
it doesn't matter. Like,
Tom is like squirming right now. Like,
because-
I want to talk about something else.
no, that's not what I'm saying. Well, I'm just saying how I feel. No, please talk about it. I just want to say this. Who are any? How the hell does anybody know?
But
Listen,
maybe he has a fantasy about it.
I don't even know how life functions, let alone how death would function, right? So who the hell knows? I mean, neurochemically, I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in an afterlife. I think that I got really weird hippie ideas about the afterlife and all this shit, but I think as far as like the near death experiences and all that stuff, I just think it's your neurons firing like crazy, and it's the same thing you would get, in a drug overdose or, when you trip, stuff like that. I just think it's
right. But all of your billiness, all of your inner essence, your
All of your billiness.
all of my billiness. I
absolutely-
actually make my girlfriend call me that, his billiness.
You think that all of that just zaps away. You think that it just disintegrates into the anti-cosmos.
I think that that's the standard model. I think that
I'm not
there's
saying heaven or hell, but all that energy, isn't that?
I think that that's the standard model, is to get dispersed into everything else. But I also, I do think that sort of like chunks of consciousness can get stuck in the universe in places and, pop up elsewhere. I don't think that it's like a clean break. I mean, I think we get recycled, but I think we get sometimes recycled in chunks, so parts of your personality can continue.
Is that how you would explain deja vu?
I would explain deja vu as probably a short-term memory being accidentally filed in long-term memory in your brain. So suddenly you feel like it gets filed in the wrong place, and suddenly you think, oh, this happened 2 years ago. And no, it didn't. It just happened. It just got filed wrong.
Oh, I need to hire a new file clerk. That happens to me all the time.
That bitch is fired.
It's been a temp. Now, what about you, Dave? Are you seeing a magic train?
No, man. No, not at all.
You just see black?
What I think is probably quite kind of hippy dippy along Billy's lines here, but what I ultimately think is that you probably will experience some heavy shit, but that heavy shit is brain chemistry. We've recreated, out of body experiences using ketamine. Sufficient doses of ketamine, you're going to have an experience very similar to what people describe as out of body and going into the light and all that bullshit. People fucking smoke DMT and go live fucking entire lifetimes with the fucking machine elves out in fucking outer space. And in reality, 10 minutes has passed. So, do I know what's going to happen to my consciousness in that time? Fuck, man, there's any number of things that I could experience completely within myself during that period. Lifetimes I could live, things I could see and experience, but that I would probably not attribute to anything supernatural.
Whoa. That's no fun. You guys aren't.
Max,
No, it kind of sucks. I know, it's fucking boring.
Well, Max.
Max, you're clearly like God damn it!
Well,
my whole
let's-
riding off on a winged unicorn theory is total bullshit.
Oh man.
What are you thinking, Max? What is it?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's different things. I feel like sometimes, and this may sound really bizarre, but I feel sometimes like I have a very profound mystical power. Like there are things that I don't think I can that just come into my imagination. Like, for example, and I've never ever talked about this before, we don't have to get into it, but I'm just saying, I've been kind of surrounded by some very mystical people in my life. For example, I have a great uncle who lives in the mountains of Golden, Colorado, and he's like a psychic healer, and he's a mystic, and he used to work with like a lot of celebrities, and it could be crazy crap or it could be cool. I've personally been around him since I was 10. So I've seen things that maybe were just my imagination. Like, did he really just stand on the balcony overlooking the woods in his cabin? And did his eyes really just turn iridescent? And did he really just summon the wolves? And every wolf in the mountain landscape surrounding him are howling right now. I know that sounds crazy, but
that sounds
I would
fucking awesome.
Yeah, I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, I was always kind of like really kind of a healing presence for a lot of people, if you can believe that. And I started to sort of envision this lavender colored fog that's very cool and it's misty but it's like a purple fog. Okay, this purple fog started to get stronger and stronger. Like the more I would go up to the Central Coast and like recharge on the water and like suddenly really get into like my natural surroundings and the way I interacted with people, I would always kind of carry that fog with me. And I noticed that people started to kind of like give me things and ask how I, was doing more or approach me more. And it was sort of like this weird mystical happening was going on. So I was using that as sort of like a healing thing. And then all of a sudden people would come to me. I'm not saying they would come to me with ailments, but people would say, I'm not feeling good. I have a headache.
Don't tell me. If you go on and tell us that you've healed people.
All I'm saying is I would summon a cool lavender fog and I would manage to talk them through it in a very soft, meditative way. And all of a sudden you felt an energy in the room that had changed to something very positive and very healing and very mystical. And the next thing you know, they're telling me, wow, I feel a lot better. I don't have that headache anymore.
Billy.
Were any of these chicks hot?
Yes! How the fuck do you think I got laid all those years? Looking like I look?
Snap. Faith healing works every time.
Max, would you do it as if you were channeling the yoga instructor?
Listen, I picture that lavender fog encompassing me, enveloping me, and I picture a lot of women. That's all I can tell you.
By the way, folks, I'd like you to go to Bowler Hat on YouTube right now and check out Max doing the yoga instructor. Then go back and listen again to what Max just said, and you tell me if you take any of this shit seriously.
See my eyes, I can hardly stand. See me stand, I can hardly walk. I believe you can make me whole. See my tongue, I can hardly talk.
I'm going to be bringing in Matt Farnsworth, guys, in a few minutes. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in as far as How to Die in Oregon is concerned?
I just wanted to thank Max tremendously for bringing up Bob Flanagan. Bob Flanagan is a hero of mine. I fucking love that man. I love that man. He's a beautiful human being.
He is.
And Sick was like possibly one of like, it was such an eye-opening film. I saw it in a theater and
me too, dude.
Fuck, it just killed me, man. It just killed me. It was like, this guy is like Jesus or something, you know? Like it's literally a movie where you watch a guy get a fucking like giant fucking sphere of metal shoved up his ass, and then you watch him die.
I know.
And it's so like
we got to show it to the rest of the crew here if they haven't.
Man, the guy is just so brave and he's so interesting, and he dealt with his pain and his imminent death in such a fascinating way, man. And I have total respect for Bob Flanagan. I love that man.
Google image search is telling me quite a lot about this subject, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, Bob Flanagan was a dude who he had, multiple sclerosis, I believe?
Cystic fibrosis.
Oh, cystic fibrosis. That's right.
He would have his lungs drained all the time.
Ooh.
That's right. And so he was in constant pain, and he got into S&M, and that's how he fucking dealt with it. Is like he dealt with it through more fucking pain, but pain he was in control of, and that his wife was in control of, and shit like that. And this guy like wasn't just like on the weekend I like to get tied up with scarves.
He was a performance artist.
He was a performance artist, and he lived it 24 hours a day, 7 fucking days a week. Like him and his wife, that was like their life. It was fucking crazy. Like
you're surrounded by sickness, and they're warm, wonderful, hilarious people.
They're beautiful people. It's a tremendous film. tremendous film.
This is called Sick: The Life and Death of Bob Flanagan.
Yeah, we should do it here on the show.
All right,
We
man.
totally should, because it's a
I saw this guy in Nine Inch Nails video.
Yes,
I have seen him
it's the
before.
Happiness
Yeah.
and Slavery video.
Yep.
Wow. Hey, wait a minute. We didn't get Tom's Heaven.
I don't. You know what? I've always had this simple philosophy, Max. Death to me is like before you were born. It's just a total darkness and unconsciousness. It's just nothing.
Buzzkill.
Well, that's
It's a big carton of cigarettes.
Let me tell you something. It's Nomad Irish and a 40.
Oh, come on, Max. All right, guys, listen, we're going to introduce our new recommend or non-recommend system here. We're going to go avoid it, rent it, own it. Max, your film here, what are you doing?
Well, listen, I have an incredible collection of documentaries. I personally am probably going to own it, but I don't know that I'm going to be watching it a bunch of times. But I think it's that good.
Pace.
You know, I'm going to say own it. And the reason I'm going to say own it is because this is a film that you want to show other people. And especially if you have family that you want to sort of communicate your wishes to, this is a great way to start that conversation with them, I think. It's kind of morbid, but I think it's a good way to start that conversation.
I think I'm going to go with rent it, only because if I did say own it, and for that reason to pass it around, I think people would really start to worry about me if I was passing around a movie like How to Die in Oregon.
Yeah, well,
I might lose a lot of friends on Facebook.
I'm just saying it would to me I know I watched it with my wife and I think we've always kind of had a good understanding of our wishes when it comes to that kind of thing, but it allowed us to really clarify it together, right? And sort of watch this movie and be like, yeah, fucking right. If we get to that point, this is what we're gonna do, and I think it just allows people to have the conversation.
Max, I really hate when you say buzzkill.
Hey, do we all have our affairs in order? Can I just ask that?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm affairs. You know what? I don't even think I have anything to put in order, really.
Well, you better start thinking about it. You're 40 soon.
But I don't have a family. I'm not married. I don't have any children.
You got a mommy. What is she supposed to do with your carcass?
I'm going to leave. Oh, come on, Max.
Well, I'm just saying, what if something happens?
I never really... I haven't.
You never really think about it. Well, Tom, it's time.
But you're right. You're right. It's probably time. I
don't like to think about the bad things, just the good things.
Who's going to host the show?
You got to bequeath the show.
Billy.
Who's Claude going to count on for correspondence?
Billy, the Who's going to host the show dig was worse than the Buzzkill dig.
Well, I aim to rise below Max's level.
It's good to have you back, Billy. You guys ready to bring in Matt Farnsworth?